everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my channel. I am super excited for this week's project because I actually have no idea what it's going to be. So I got this kind of harebrained idea in my head last night after I completely failed at last week's crinolette project, which if you haven't seen that project video yet and you want to see me fail at a project, I will link the crinolette video down below. But after a big fail like that, I didn't want to dive in yet to the next project that it was supposed to be on my list because that one is a really large project and I am just mentally not there yet. So I want an easy win project and I want something that I'm super excited about, and so this kind of just fell into my lap. So I have been obsessing lately about American Girl dolls. Like, I have 6 of them. I'll show you my collection in a minute here. I have 6 of them. I'm on the verge of getting another one. I haven't quite decided which one. It's either gonna be Elizabeth or Caroline. Just can't decide. But I'm on the verge of getting another one and I have a whole like little wardrobe of outfits for them now. And this has all been since Christmas that this obsession kind of came into play. And I've been wanting to recreate a dress, one of their dresses for me. And if you've been around my channel for a little while, or I guess a longer while, you probably know that I've had on my to-do list Felicity's blue Christmas dress, that I want to make that for myself. I've been wanting to make that for myself for a couple of years now at least, but I have had really hard times finding the fabric, and now the fabric that was there and was out of my budget is just not there anymore. I can't get it. So hopefully that will still happen. But that's not what today's video is about. Today, my plan is that I am about to head out to Joann Fabrics and I am going to see what they have, and whatever fabric they have that is closest to an American Girl doll dress fabric, I'm gonna make that dress for myself. I don't know what it's gonna be. Basically, I've gone through my little closet of clothes and I've taken pictures of like all of the cotton print patterns, and whatever pattern Joann's has that's closest to those, that's what I'm gonna make. And if they don't have any patterns that are anywhere near close, then most likely it's going to be Samantha's midi dress, which is her sailor dress, because that is made out of white cotton twill. Joann's really ought to have white cotton twill. There are a couple of other solid dresses that like, they really ought to have those as well. So we'll see what they have. I'm just really excited. I kind of want to make this like a summer dress version that maybe isn't like a 100% exact recreation, but that is going to be something really close and really identifiable as that dress, but for me. So what that means are certain elements, like the fact that most of Samantha's dresses have this huge Edwardian pigeon breast front. Things like that would get taken away to make it more fitted, or things that are very childlike might get upgraded to a slightly more adult style and a slightly more like history bounding mix in there as well. So basically this is going to be like a history bounding, historical, mostly cosplay of one of those dresses, depending on what it is we find. And I don't know, just like the idea of kind of leaving it up in the air to chance, to just whatever it is Joann's has, is super exciting to me. So let me show you what I have, what it could be, and then we're gonna head off to Joann's. So firstly, here are my lovely dolls. We have Samantha over here. I got her when I was like 8 or 9 years old. This is Rebecca, who scarily enough shares a lot of family background story things with me, which was really the reason why I got her. Plus, I think she has a really cute face. This is Felicity, who I've had since I was about a year or two later than Samantha, so I think around 10 years old. And this is Addie, who I love. She also helped me out with ragtime. She stood in for the baby for a lot of those rehearsals. This is Kirsten, who started off this whole obsession because I got her for myself for Christmas. And then this is Nellie over here. She's Samantha's best friend. So So the years on these dolls we have for both Samantha and Nellie about like, I think 1904, I want to say. Rebecca is our early 19-teens. Felicity is the 1770s, like colonial Williamsburg period. Addie is the 1860s, and Kirsten is the 1850s. So just looking at some of the fabrics, like I would love to find this pink and white stripe. That would be awesome because I think that her birthday dress and pinafore would be my first choice. I'm honestly not going for any of Felicity's outfits because she has to wear undergarments. Like you can't really get away with that for like a summer dress. Rebecca is actually wearing Caroline's dress right now, so we're not going for that either because again, Regency would need undergarments. If I can find this brown gingham, I am so making this dress because I absolutely love Addie's birthday dress. This one is one that is like a good backup because I think this is just a light pink cotton. So I would have to find the proper lace, but yeah, Nellie's dress, Nellie's spring dress should be really, really easy to find. And then Kirsten back here has an adorable little check on there. So we'll see if that's something that I can find, but that dress with her pinafore would be super, super cute. So those are some options. And here on their little closet rod, we have more options. So again, we're not going to do any of Felicity's stuff, though I also do want to make this dress for myself at some point, but again, not this project. So looking at Kirsten, we've got her meet dress has this super cute pattern. This is her school dress. So just red, but this one kind of seems a little more fall-like, so I probably won't go for that unless that's the only one I can find. And then I really like this stripe on her work dress. That's really cute. Summer dress would be great because, again, I'm going for a summer look, so that would be a really fun one. And this is Addie's school dress. I'm not going to find blue wool. This is her stilting dress, which would be super fun. It also has bloomers that actually go with it, so that would be really, really cute, but it does require 2 patterns, so we'll see. I love Addie's summer dress. It's adorable. I would so love to find this fabric. That would be a really, really fantastic one. This one's too autumnal. Her meet dress is too plain, and that's obviously Christmas. So let's go over to Samantha. This one would be super, super cute to find if I can find this blue window pane, and then we just need white for the pinafore. Not going to do the school dress, that's too boring. So this is sort of my backup. This is just white cotton twill, and this would be perfect for summer to get the little navy detail on there, little tie back detail. I obviously will not be doing things like Velcro, but this would be super, super cute. So basically this is my backup because white cotton twill should be super easy to find. The other one that might be slightly a backup would be Nellie's meet dress. This has like a Swiss dot over and then a light blue under to create that sort of blue effect through. And I think it'd be cute, but I do think it reads really like little girl. So I do prefer the midi dress as my backup rather than Nellie's. So let's go to Joann's. So to say that that was a disappointment of a Joann's trip would be an extreme understatement. I thought for sure that I would at least get that cotton twill for the midi dress. Literally 0 of the fabrics. No white cotton twill, no light pink cotton, no Swiss dot, which I figured would be a little harder, but also no light blue cotton to go with the Swiss dot, and 0 of the prints. So there is another Joann's about like 20 minutes away that does have white and cotton twill, but there's also a thrift store about 3 minutes away. So I'm gonna try the thrift store first just to see what the chances of finding one of the prints. Figure it's a low chance, but also thrifting is fun anyway. And I mean, if I find anything good, I guess I'll show you even if it's not related. And otherwise, I'm gonna go drive 20 minutes to that other Joann's and get white cotton twill from them if they don't have any of the prints. So time for more disappointments. I just went to the thrift store. They didn't have anything, which, I mean, I kind of figured they wouldn't, and I really wasn't looking for clothes, so I didn't get anything at all there. And I called the other fabric store, the other Joann's, and they are supposed to have 7 yards of twill. The lady couldn't find it, so I'm debating about going over there anyway, because maybe they would at least have something else, like the light pink or something like that. So yeah, that one is 20 minutes away. There's another one that's 28 minutes away that is larger, but I think I'm gonna try the 20 minutes away one. And if that fails, maybe I'll just do a big circle and do the 28 one as well, because it's in like kind of a different opposite direction. So wish me luck. So I'm glad that I ignored the lady and I came anyway, because look what I found. White cotton twill, a whole bunch of it. I haven't even looked at the cotton prints yet, but at least we found the backup fabric. Also, this Joann's has some gorgeous shirtings. No Swiss dot, but like really gorgeous shirtings. And there's more over here. And I'm honestly tempted to like get some stuff for maybe another project, because these are not at my Joann's. So this isn't exactly right, but that's a pretty close match for the stilting outfit. Here's light pink for Nellie's spring dress, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. What do we think? Close enough for Kirsten's birthday dress? It's not exact, but it's not bad. I'm so glad that that Joann's was successful. I am now back home and I have fabric for this project. So this is the fabric, which means I'm going to be doing the Kirsten birthday dress. So this I thought was really pretty close to it. I got 6 yards, I think, which should be plenty, I hope. And if not, I guess I'll be going back to Joann's. But I'm going to go toss this in the wash. I also got Kona cotton, a bunch of white Kona cotton, both for my stash and also for the pinafore that goes with this. What I did not buy was rickrack, because the packaged rickrack that has the nice shape was like gray white. It was so ugly. And the other rickrack that you can buy by the yard, I mean, it's $2 per yard, and I knew I need a lot of it, but I didn't know exactly how much I need. And B, that one's really pointy. So it's possible that I might go back and get that. But what I'm hoping is I am going to look through my trim stash back there and see if I have an eyelet trim that has a nice scallop shape, because I feel like in a human form that rickrack, which, you know, did not exist in the 1850s, would actually probably be something more like an eyelet. So I am going to hopefully go with that. I did also find an eyelet that I liked at Joann's, but it was kind of more than I wanted to spend. It was like $5 a yard without a coupon. So we'll see. I could also wind up going back for that. So yeah, those are the main project. That's the project we're going to be doing this week. But let me show you what else I got for a sec, because I did also get more. So I got some cotton twill. The cotton twill that I pulled out before, what I didn't know was that A, it was in multiple pieces, and B, the second bolt was actually really, really soft. Like, not remotely like twill type soft. So I didn't buy the second bolt at all. I got everything that they had on the first bolt, but it was multiple pieces. So this is like a little more than 3, and this is like 1.5. So I don't know that that would be enough for Samantha's midi dress, but I always need twill anyway. And I do have some twill. So it's possible that I could also be doing Samantha's midi dress, her sailor dress, because that was my backup and it would also be a fun summer project. So do make sure that you are subscribed and that you hit the bell notification, because then you will be notified every time a video goes live, including whenever I will likely do this project later this summer. The other thing that I got for a future project that is either going to be a vintage dress or a modern dress, probably a dress with sleeves. We'll see. I got 6 yards, so it should be enough. It's kind of a splurge because it was $10 a yard after the discounts. It was started at $20 a yard. Is this really lovely cotton. It's super lightweight. It was in the quilting cotton section, but it's a shirting and it's embroidered. These flowers, they're all embroidered on there, all the daisies. So I thought that was so cute and will make a beautiful summer dress. So I am going to wash that as well, obviously in a different load than my pink and my white, but I'm gonna go toss this in the wash right now while I go walk Lion. And that way tonight I can already get into starting this project. All right, the fabric has been washed, so it is time to start sewing. So naturally the first thing that I did was I did a little research. So pretty easy when I have the costume that I'm doing. So basically I was looking at Kirsten's dress here, which looks very pointy because she is on her stand right here. But basically this is just like a flat bodice, flat in the back, and then she's got a band around her waist, and then it is a straight panel skirt. So really quite simple. Now I do have a pattern that I think I used for Cinderella to start off with, and then maybe I didn't. I feel like I maybe used this before. It's Simplicity 8591, and honestly it's basically like this dress except with darts for shaping because, you know, I need that. And also this has a belt instead of a waistband, but that belt could easily be turned into a waistband. And then she has puff sleeves, and that's like the only difference. It's even already pink. So I'm probably going to be using that as kind of my jumping off point. And kind of like the pattern, I am planning to lower the neckline just a little bit because this is going to be primarily a summer dress. So instead of having it right up here, it's probably going to be like here, like an inch down. So I just want a little bit more space around my neckline for summer. And then also because it has such a high neckline, I can't get away with not doing a zipper on this. I need a zipper. I'm not doing Velcro closures. I'm doing a zipper. So I'm just going to do a white invisible zip up the center back. So that should be super easy because I already have that. So yay. So I'm going to actually start with the skirt portion of this. Again, it is flat panels. Now the unfortunate part about printed cottons from Joann's, specifically printed cottons that have a like geometric pattern like stripes and plaids, is that Joann's fabric is never printed on the grain. And this one's really bad. This one is, I think, more than an inch off grain. So I kind of have to determine, am I going to cut the panels on the grain or on the pattern? And I think for this, I'm probably going to do the pattern because it's going to be really obvious. But let me show you how bad this is. So I went and I ripped the top because that is what I do to find the grain. And if you look over here, we've got the white right here. I'm trying to make this not blurry. And if we follow this white line, this is the same white line over here. And that white line, if we keep going across, this is the same over here. And if we keep going across, yeah, it's way more than an inch. This is the same, and it winds up being all the way over here. So yeah, like an inch and a half off grain. Thank you, whoever prints Joann Fabrics fabric. That is just great. Oh, I guess it is printed and made for Joann's. It's their own fault. So yeah, after ripping it and wasting, I mean, a little bit, an inch, I think I'm gonna go ahead and waste another bit and do it on the pattern and not on the grain. And hopefully that won't throw things off too much with this flat paneled skirt. But otherwise, if I look at the hem at the end, that hem is gonna be going across the pattern like this. Like it's just gonna look so off. So yeah, I have to do it on the pattern, unfortunately. Joann's, can you make better fabric? Could that be a thing? Could you like print on the grain? That'd be really nice. I think we would all really appreciate it. Now, naturally, I am also going to add pockets to mine because you can't not have pockets. She only has a center back seam, and also she's a doll, so she doesn't need pockets. I need pockets. So like the dress that I just made that was the Dumbo dress, I'm going to add pockets around the center front panels, so they'll be like a little bit more forward, and then it will just get gathered up and eventually it will get put to the waistband. But for tonight, I am just going to make up the skirt portion and possibly get to hemming it, probably not get to hemming it, but I'm going to make up the rest of the skirt portion and then I'll just have it hang out on the form until the bodice is ready for it. We have a skirt. Still needs a hem, but the rest of it is all done. I have all of my gathering stitches up here. Each panel has to be gathered individually because of the pockets right here and then the opening in the back. But I think it's looking like Kirsten. I mean, obviously on a much larger scale because she doesn't look like a check until you zoom in, but I think it works. Hopefully I can start on the bodice tomorrow. So it dawned on me, why would I use this pattern, which I can't really remember how I changed it or if I even used it or changed it for this bodice just because of this neckline when I literally just did a bodice that fit well. This is the Dumbo dress. Now, obviously, the Dumbo dress does not have a high neckline, so I will still need to make a mock-up with the high neckline. And my usual problem is that the center front would need to be curved above this point. So I know on one of the other projects that I did, don't ask me which one, I went and I basically just took this and like tapered it in like that and made that the on the fold. And I can't remember which project that was, but I remember it working. So I'm going to try that with this. With the back, we're just going to raise this like a tiny bit and curve it. That shouldn't be a big deal. I almost feel comfortable enough just cutting it out, but I'm still going to mock that up too. And if it works, it'll just be my lining. Same with this, but I have a feeling this one might not work as well. So I have my mock-up here. I have not yet done the darts here because when you pivot in with the neckline, one of the things that happens is that it actually gets wider around the waist. So I couldn't just use the dart markings that I had already had. So I put in the darts here, I put in the darts in the back, and I still just have to like re-pinch out. That's why I have this on inside out. So I'm going to re-pinch out these darts here and mark and pin and sew them. The other thing though is that this is higher than I want right here at the front. This is perfect. In fact, actually it might be a little bit too far away from my neck because there will be like binding off the neckline or whatever, but I do want this to just kind of make this more circular, come down a little bit there. The back, so this is going to have a zipper up the back. I think I already mentioned that. And obviously the neckline is too small to get my head through if it is closed all the way. So the back, I've done up the back seam to here, right here, and then it's just open right here. But I think that the back fits well. I need to pin that and just double check that that fits well, but I think that where I brought the back up to is pretty good. So I think I am actually going to be able to use this for the lining, which is great. I made this just out of Kona cotton. What I might do, no, I think it's okay. I cut down the armpits about like 1/4 of an inch lower than how I had them on the Dumbo dress, because if you remember from that video, which if you haven't seen that video, I will link that down below, but on the Dumbo dress, it was just a little bit like too high up in my armpits, like I could feel it a lot and I didn't like that. I think we're in a better place here now that that's been cut down 1/4 inch. The other thing that I did on this versus that was that I cut up the side seam here by about like 3/8 of an inch because it wound up being too long on that dress somehow. So otherwise everything was the same besides that pivot point. That was the big change in the neckline. So yeah, I'm gonna make the darts here, cut down this neckline just a touch, and I think that will make me good to go on the bodice, but I'll try it on one more time just to make sure. Okay, I feel like I have it close enough to go ahead and cut out the gingham now. There is still just a little bit more that probably could have come out of here. Like if I add maybe like 1/4 inch on each side by the time it gets to the waist. This will also be covered by the waistband because my plan is to make up the bodice and then top stitch the top of the waistband on it. Probably shouldn't be doing this. I should probably be cutting off part of the bodice and then doing it, but my plan is to top stitch the top part and then treat them as one when they go into the skirt. So I'm hoping that that will work. And the neckline, like there is a little bit of a bubble right up here, but also it needs to be turned in. So I feel like that's probably okay. The back neckline is good. I already checked that. I do need to work on these bust darts just a little because we've got a little pointiness at the bust, but otherwise I think we are good to go. So let's go ahead and cut out the gingham. So I was really struggling with the darts on this bodice yesterday and just like kept trying to do them over and over and over and was not working out. And then today I completely unsewed. I picked out the darts, you know, picked those seams out, and I tried to do it where I put this on inside out and then like pinched out the darts just to like literally make it to my body. And basically what wound up happening was they turned into princess seams. So I decided, since this isn't going to be 100% historically accurate anyway, and also it's going to be covered by the pinafore, let's just make this princess seams. So I haven't pressed them or anything yet, but that's what we have here. It goes in a little narrow down here, but that's going to be covered by the band, so I think that won't really matter. But yeah, I've got princess seams now. They go pretty high up and then down, but now everything looks a lot better. So now that that's done, finally, I can go ahead and undo the center back seam and put the band on and get the skirt attached. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the skirt attached and even probably the zipper before I move on to the sleeves. The sleeves should be relatively easy, knock on wood. I mean, they are just puff sleeves with elastic in the bottom and then they frill out. And I did find eyelet trim, by the way, so I'm going to be using eyelet trim forever that was rickrack on this dress. I have a lot of it, so it should be plenty. And yeah, hopefully the sleeves will be fine, but that way I can try this on and off easier than trying to maneuver it over my head, which is what I have been doing, you know, avoiding the lipstick and everything. I think I did get some makeup on the inside of the collar, but yeah, that's my plan. So waistband, which again, it's just going to get top stitched at the top. I've already folded over the top of the waistband, so this bottom part is going to meet up with the bottom of the bodice, and then the top part is going to sit right there and all the way around so that it can get incorporated into the back seam. And once that is on, then I will just go ahead and attach the skirt to the bodice and do the invisible zip up the back. So I realized that I was not going to be able to just top stitch this on because it wasn't going to like lay flat with the part underneath. And so I think I'm going to actually cut away the underneath. I like kind of marked where it needed to go and then sewed it on right sides together, flipped it down and pressed it. And you can see like this middle section underneath, it's dipping down, whereas this is being even on top. So, I mean, obviously I like the evenness of it, but I was thinking I was going to cut away the underneath. Now it's not actually bothering me that there's extra layers there. I mean, basically right here there's 4 layers, whereas everywhere else there's 2. And if I did cut it away, then there would again just be 2. But yeah, I mean, considering I'm not wearing a corset underneath this or anything, maybe 4 is not that bad. I'll have to think about that for a minute. But the other thing that I realized is that although the strip that is the width of the fabric is longer than my waist measurement, it is not longer than my rib cage measurement, which this is at my rib cage. In fact, I honestly worry that it's a little bit high. I'm slightly tempted to move it down like a ½ inch. So I'm gonna have to study that more in the mirror, honestly. But yeah, it didn't make it all the way around. So I need a little extension, unfortunately, in the back. So there will be a seam there, but I'm just going to make the extension exactly like I made this band, which I think I told you this is a 4-inch wide band right here. And then a ½ inch on each side goes to the seam allowance. So, and it is backed with, this is backed with the Kona cotton as well. So yeah, I'm gonna study this a bit more, decide if I need to move this down, because I feel like it's happening like right under my boobs and that just seems way too high. I think if I moved it down a ½ inch, and this also, so I feel like my waist changes height a lot because like right now I'm wearing tights, and so my waist with the tights, it is occurring basically where the bottom of all this is, meaning that that would be where my waist should be. But if I was not wearing tights, then my waist would probably be in a different place. Or if I had the tights pulled up to a different place, my waist would probably be in a different place. And I don't know yet whether I'd be wearing tights with this or not. And honestly, it would probably be sometimes I would be and sometimes I wouldn't be, depending on if it's like really hot out or if I'm wearing it to Comic-Con or whatever, because I don't even remember if I mentioned this to you, but I've decided that I'm going to wear this to Comic-Con, Emerald City Comic-Con in August. I don't know which day, but I was having a hard time coming up with heat appropriate cosplays that I have not yet worn to Comic-Con and that aren't like historical and that people might actually recognize. And I was like, oh, well, this would kind of work. So I purchased a blonde wig off of Amazon and that's supposed to get here tomorrow. We'll see how that looks. But for cosplay purposes, I would be wearing it with the wig. And I do plan to make the flower crown as well. So yeah, I'm gonna study this waistband a bit more because I think it needs to come down, but that is okay. Oh my gosh, that is so much better on the waistband. Now though, the inner layer is probably not long enough to even get into the seam allowance to make it like attached to the skirt. So I think that means that I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of it, because otherwise it's just kind of going to be like flapping around a bit. I feel like it would be weird with leaving it in there if it doesn't even make it into the seam allowance. If it does make it into the seam allowance, like I know it does here in the center front section, that was where it dipped down, but I don't think it does here. If it does, I will leave it in because honestly I do like that thicker structure right there. But time to go ahead and finally attach the skirt. The skirt is attached and the zipper is in, though not zipped up all of the way. And that means that it's ready for sleeves tomorrow because I've run out of time tonight. So all I need to do tomorrow is bind the neckline, do the sleeves, do the hem, and then the dress portion is done. So I have only very quickly put this wig on and like not even pinned it in place, and I braided up one side, but it's way too loose and big. But I think that this will work. It needs a major trim of the bangs. They are so long, but yeah, I think that this will work pretty well for Kirsten. Honestly, maybe this isn't too big, it's just too far forward. Yeah, that's probably a little bit better, and the bangs need a lot of help, but I think it's a decent color match. Hers is a little bit darker, but I mean, for like a $20 wig, this is not bad at all. I don't even think it looks that bad in the back where it's parted. Obviously my hair, I need to do a better job of tucking up, but yeah, I think it'll be a pretty okay wig for Kirsten for Comic-Con, so that's cool. And it was like $20, so I will link this wig down in the description. I just got it from Amazon, but for $20 it's pretty decent quality. I mean, like, this is the hair, it's nice, it comes in lots of colors. Maybe when I do the Samantha project, I might even go ahead and get this in a dark brown as well. But yeah, not bad at all. Just a quick little trim of the bangs, and I think it is so much better already. So yeah, I think that that is gonna work. I do think that they should be a little farther back, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, this one is literally being held up with a twist tie and a ribbon because I don't know where any of my hair ties are. So with that all said, let's get back to working on the dress. I am going to hem it first, I've decided, and then I'm going to do the neckline binding and then the sleeves. The neckline is all nicely bound and I have the hem pinned and pressed into place, so that is ready to be stitched. I just wanted to make sure that it was actually even, so that's why I put it on. But also I have a sleeve mock-up. Now I really thought when I like held this sleeve mock-up up to my arm after I put it together, but before I attached it to the bodice, that it was going to be way too short in the rise of the sleeve. So like this part I thought was going to be fine, this part I thought was going to be too short, and I think it is maybe a little shorter than the inside. Like you can see how it's dipping up, and I feel like hers doesn't really do that. So I do think that I need to extend this length just a little bit, but I actually think that maybe I need to extend the entire length a little bit, because like if you look at her sleeve, it is coming down pretty much to her elbow there. Now hers has elastic in it. Mine right now I just have gathering stitches, but I will have elastic in there. But yeah, it's coming down really all the way to her elbow, which, I mean, that might be a translation of like doll to human difficulties, and you know, we can't do exactly this because then it would look way too long on me. But I do think maybe having it like a little bit longer, like the whole sleeve, if it went down to here, might be a little bit better. So I think for the final, I like the length of the ruffle, I think that's great, but I think for the final I am going to increase the rise up here by 1 inch and also increase just the entire sleeve by 1 inch. So really this part's going to get 2 inches longer, but I think that will do enough. I'll double check the measurement right here just to see how much it's tilting up, because I do want it more even and it's not right now. But yeah, I think a little bit longer, but I think the gatheredness of it is really quite great. I kind of looked at, I don't even remember which pattern piece it was. I think it was a Simplicity pattern. I kind of looked at just the shape of a puff sleeve and then changed it drastically, and I increased the width. I decreased the difference of rise between here and here, which was my problem. I should have kept a little bit more of that, but I majorly lengthened the inner part of the arm there. But yeah, I think it's pretty darn close. So I feel comfortable enough to not do another mock-up. Now I am not going to line the sleeves. The skirt is unlined, the bodice is lined, but the sleeves are going to be unlined as well because this is a summer dress, or a spring dress really. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out of the gingham and just change that little bit, and that should be good. And once I do that and sew the hem, which will take me about 1 minute, then the dress portion is done. So just holding up a ruler to determine kind of how far off it is. I don't know that I can do this with the monitor. I was doing this in the mirror a second ago, but I'm actually going to increase the rise 1.5 inches and then the overall length by 1 inch on top of that, both inside and outside. So let's go fix that. So the first thing that I've done on these is that I have applied this bias tape channel 2.5 inches up from the edge, and that is what the elastic is going to be run through. So I did that on both of these, and then I went and I seamed up the edges here, but I skipped the area where the bias tape channel is, because that way I can feed the elastic in there later and then basically like sew off the elastic on the seam right there. But right now it's open so that I can get the elastic in. Now I'm going to go ahead and hem, well, I'm going to press this, then I'm going to hem this up right here. So it's just going to get a narrow hem turned, and then it's going to get the eyelet trim applied. Then I can do the gathering stitches on here and finally put the elastic in. So I only want 1 line of stitching on the outside of this hem, which means that I'm applying this all in one go. So I have serged this. This is actually a lot wider, this eyelet trim. I've serged it down to where these little top eyelets would be like basically even with the fold, and then I'm just matching up this side with this edge right here and then sewing it down all at once. And that is what the finished treatment looks like. I turned around to my sewing table and noticed that Dora is sleeping over here in the corner on a pile of fabric. Hey Dora, does this mean that it's time to go to bed? Are you trying to tell me that it's 2 in the morning? Yeah, it is. So I'm going to take Dora's advice, because setting sleeves at 2 in the morning is pretty much never a good idea, but the sleeves are ready for the elastic. I have both of them here. The elastic will just be fed through with a bodkin through the channel, and then I will close off the ends of that channel there, and then I'll just pull up the gathering stitches that I've already put on here and set them into the sleeves, and the dress will be done, but that'll be tomorrow's job. The sleeves are on and I absolutely love how they look. The changes that I made were perfect. I mean, it's coming down like evenly from side to side. It's coming down a little bit lower than it was before on my arm. I love that. It's super comfortable. These are just elastic in those channels. I actually wound up using a yarn needle and not a bodkin because the elastic was too wide to fit through my bodkin, but the yarn needle worked just fine to put those in. And basically what I did was I realized on the second one that I had actually a little bit too much elastic that I'd pre-cut, and so I threaded it through, keeping a little tail out, and then as soon as like that tail got to the point where it was only about this long, I sewed across it inside the seam allowance just to hold it in place so I wouldn't need another hand. And then I kept threading through and I would gather up and I pulled it out the other end, and then I again sewed through in the seam allowance. Then I put the seam together. So the elastic is attached really in 3 places, not just the seam. So now that the sleeves are on, there is only one more thing that I have to do to this project. I've been waving them around in my hand. These are little bows that I made out of cotton cording, and then I took this like shrink tube stuff that I had gotten from Lacis years ago, like I think still back when I lived in California, and I've had it that long and never used it. Wasn't sure exactly how to use it, but you can see basically it's done the sort of thing that you get on the end of a shoelace, because this cord otherwise does fray quite a bit. It just kind of, you know, mushrooms out and looks all gross. And so again, I didn't really know how to do this. That's why I didn't film it. But I basically just put this on my ironing table and rolled the iron across it and then kind of pinched the ends a little bit, and I think it works. So yeah, I've got 2 of these bows. Right now they're just tied quite tightly, but when I affix them to the sleeve, I will tie that knot through so that they don't untie. And I put this on first because I wasn't sure exactly where they would need to go, but I think that is about right. So I'm just going to quick whip stitch those on to the sleeves, and then this dress part will be done. The dress portion is now done. I am super happy with it. I think it is adorable. Here's the little ties that I just put on there. The other thing that I realized I had not done yet was I hadn't actually put the hook and eye at the top of the zipper, so I did add that as well. So it is completely done now, the dress portion only, but just for a little side-by-side comparison, we've got her dress and my dress. And obviously you can't see at the bottom, but I mean, it's just the plain skirt. So that means that still to come on this project is the pinafore and the daisy little crown piece. But if you couldn't tell already, this video is probably getting a little long. So I think that's all going to be in a separate video where I will finish everything up and put on the wig and all of that sort of stuff, and you will get the final look of Kirsten. But this has been really fun letting Joann's just like choose my project. Honestly, I am pretty pleased with it. I think that this is really quite close to her fabric. I think this dress looks really quite close to her dress. And yeah, definitely happy with how this project is coming out, and it's filling all of my like American Girl needs that I have been having lately with this obsession. So I hope that you have enjoyed this first part of this project. If you liked this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, like the second part where I finish this, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do now post videos on YouTube once a week on Tuesdays, like this sewing vlog, with occasional secondary videos out on Saturday, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi down in the description below. Editing Rebecca here. I just realized as I was editing this video that with only putting out one video a week, when I usually thank my patrons, it's in one of those Saturday videos. So here I am popping in really quickly to say a humongous thank you so much to all of my wonderful patrons. You seriously make me able to do what I do, and especially with going now down to one video a week, you are really helping to keep me going and keep supporting this channel and keep me making videos and everything. And also a huge special thank you to my patrons at the Romantic, Victorian, and Edwardian level tiers, and they are Sharon, Mirage, Ari, Audra, Emily H, Jean, Kim, Linda, Maria, Sarah, Tiffany, Cherries, Denise, Liz, Elizabeth, Heather, Jessie, and Kimberly. Again, thank you all so much. Now back to past Rebecca. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing!